Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show, it's about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about episode 14 of Bulgasal, Immortal Souls. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. A lot to you. This show kind of gets me in a crying mood. It's like, dude. I held it together a little bit with the whole Miss Lee thing last episode. The culmination of that plus the ending of this episode, got me. My eyes were watering for about 5 minutes straight for that whole final sequence. And then, it just finally let the waterworks just, let loose. I was like, oh, God. Because there was a part of me that was wondering whether or not Hual really did care about her like that, because he made it clear before that, the only reason why he brought her along was because he only needed her because she was a shaman. And he even goes into it this episode. She's the same person that turned an entire village against him. She's the reason why people hated him from the moment he was born. But despite everything, that's why I thought was kind of ironic. She was this person that was against you in the previous life 600 years ago. And now she's this person here helping you. In fact, you helped her. And that in turn made her want to be there for you throughout her life. Because for most of her life, he was the only family she had. So in the aftermath of everything, kind of started from the beginning, Songon was able to stop him from killing Captain Ham. Which, I'll go ahead and tell you, I did not realize that was Home Dude from 600 years ago. The dude that worked with him and his father, dude who ended up killing his dad, Detective Quan in the previous 600 years ago. I didn't realize that was the same dude. I was like, wow. No wonder you got anger towards him, too. It's a byproduct of, man, this is the same guy that betrayed. So that's why he's like, yeah, I kept tabs on you. I looked up on you because you and me were caught in this cycle, too. 600 years ago, you caused harm to my family, so I knew I needed to keep an eye out for your ass. I was like, dude, that's wild. And it's interesting how a lot of them end up in the same cycles. Like, the fact is that, in this episode, Quan's arm is messed up, and you're like, right, because when they went up against that water monster, he was like, oh, my arm's going, but Hual was like, no, your arm's still there. It's just him reliving the trauma of his previous life when that same monster ripped his arm off. And lo and behold, if I'm not mistaken, it is the same arm. It's his left arm. I could be wrong, but I think it's the same arm that's in the cast right now. So it's interesting how this cycle keeps coming back and forth like that. I think that's also the irony behind it, that his dad, his wife, and his son died, and even at the end, Songon was dead, So who was the last person standing? Miss Lee, and now she's the first one of them to die. So that is kind of interesting how that all played. I didn't even think about that last episode until now, because when he was burying his family, she was the only one there beside him through it all, So interestingly enough, that things would come full circle, but she'd be the first one gone. But he doesn't have time to worry about Miss Lee because he's like, right, she's dead. Can't do anything for the dead because he needs to focus. He can't focus on that right now. He's got to focus on saving Siho and Duyan. And part of me was wondering, right, does that mean, did you ever really care about her? And I was wondering about it. I figured he did, that he was just putting up a strong front. But for a long time, he made it seem like, no, he didn't care. And that's what started feeding into Songon's doubts about him. It's like, right, this is the man. I thought I knew him, but now I'm seeing a darker side of him. I'm seeing he's acting so much more like Yulte. So they end up tracking down the monster who ended up... Well, the guy at the very least, because at the time they didn't know he was a monster. His thing back then was, apparently he killed over, 100 people. It's kind of his thing. It seemed like specifically it was, noblemen he went after. I don't know if that was kind of, his flavor or whatever it was that made him specific, but it was it was 100 noblemen that he killed. Maybe maybe that monster has some attraction to nobility or something. Why not just regular 100 people? It's 100 noble people. So I thought that was interesting. Siho thinking about Miss Lee's final words. So it's right, we can't die. We got to live because Miss Lee sacrificed herself for us. So we've got to make sure when we get the opportunity, we have to run. But Duyan's kind of messed up because the same spot Ulte stabbed him, he gets hit by this guy as well. So luckily no one died during those encounters. I was scared. I was like, especially because Siho touched Duyan and had a flash, because she still doesn't know that Hual was her husband in a previous life, but now she's probably picking up on right, she saw a previous life of like, right, Do-Young was my son in a previous life, but she like, right, go find your father. She didn't know it was Hwal. So it's going to be interesting when she finds out. I think it's still now. She doesn't talk about it this episode, but at one point, Hwal does refer to Siho as Don So, and then he's like, "Who is that?" It's like your sister. And, you know, so Sung-an has some better idea of, like, because she knows about Do-Yeon being his son reincarnated, but was still in the dark about Siho and why he cares so much about her. Now it makes sense. She didn't really talk about that, and that information was dropped on her, and she was kind of like, you know, processing that, and it never gets brought up. She doesn't bring it up for the rest of the episode because I guess she doesn't want to push him too much. I'd assume she would know because his name is Don Hwal, so I'd assume she'd know the correlation that they are family. They're married. Well, because it's also like, right, to be fair, it's like he got his name from his dad, but also like they were sibling husband and wife. You know, that whole thing of like, right, once again, they're not blood related, and who knows when it was they kind of got pushed to be together. That's a whole conversation, but the moment he was coming, like the moment they split, and Do-Yeon's like, right, come after me, but Siho didn't start running. She was like, I'm the one you want, remember? So just let him go. And she was like, right, just like make sure you survive. And he was about to attack her. I was like scared. I was like, no, please don't. Luckily, he didn't kill her. And they were able to eventually track him down. And seeing Do-Yeon like that and hearing about Siho being taken, he finally snapped. It's like Miss Lee is dead. He saw what his father looked like. Detective Kwan looked beat up. The fact is, seeing Do-Yeon like that, knowing Siho, it's like, right, it's one moment, like, Ute, like, went after my entire family. And he snapped on this creature. And despite getting blinded, it does seem like he activated the ability. He hasn't really used it. It's been something Olte's used, but no one else, he hasn't. Where it's like you're like it, like a psychic wave goes over you, and like your nose starts bleeding. That's something only Olte's ever used. But now Hwal ended up using it against this guy, and then it proceeded to like rip into his like stomach and just like stab him with his claws. So, but now he's also blinded, which, ironically enough, obviously, back when Do-Young was Achan, now having that beat, like, that's like, oh, I couldn't, and I'm surprised he also didn't bring up anything. He probably thinks, like, in the grand scheme of things, sad thing is, he's going to heal, not sad thing, but for him, it's like, there's no point of, like, basking in that, being like, oh, it's the, like, you know, everything coming full circle, it's me paying the, you know, me suffering what my curse put my son through, but it's like, right, I can heal from it. My son never could. Plus, on top of, you know, his life being cut short the way it was. But by the time they get back to the house, well, first and foremost, he went to Captain Ham, who they had like handcuffed or like tied to a tree. And then he's like, right, I've looked into your family. You've got like a wife and child. I will kill them if you like do anything. So next time, because he was like, right, I only got dragged into this. That's the thing. Yes, you were dragged into this. You didn't know what was going on. And what was his excuse? He's like, I thought they'd be fine. Shut your mouth. Shut your lying mouth. So you're telling me you didn't hear Miss Lee literally screaming, they're going to kill us. They're going to kill us, and you didn't do anything, did. Once again, you weren't down the street. You were literally right outside, and you didn't hear that? You chose to ignore that. Yeah, you had the fits of, yes, I didn't know what was going on. But as time went on, things got shadier and shadier. The moment you didn't go to the police station, you should have known. But it's also like, right, I'm too deep in this now because I've got dragged into this, and now if anything gets reported, it's gonna look a little crazy for me because I went along with this. So he just kind of kept his mouth shut and went along with it, and he shouldn't have. So, once again, considering their past, no wonder Hwal hates, because it's like, right, 3 innocent people, and he makes point to go, a person died because of you. Miss Lee's dead because of you. You kidnapped 3 innocent people. You went along with that. So, and obviously for Sung-an, it's like hearing that, wait, you were threatening his family? That's something like Olte would do. Like, are you realize in this moment there's no difference between, he's like, I don't care. I will become like him if it means I can take care of him. It's not even about capturing him anymore. If I have to die in the process, who cares? I want him dead. I want him to pay. He needs to suffer for what he's done. So for Hwal, it's like, if I have to be just as bad as him to get it done, then so be it. That'll be the price I pay if I have to become the monster to defeat this monster. I mean, to be fair, like, that's all Olte's ever wanted, was Hwal to kind of embrace being a Bulgasal. Like, it's like, I want you to embrace the monster that you are, especially because of their history. So none of them quite... Songan doesn't know quite what to do, how to help, because she wants to be there for Hwal because she cares about him. She thinks the reason why he's acting the way he is, saying all the stuff that all the wild shit he's saying, it's like, no, you're in pain, you're hurt about Miss Lee, even though you'll deny it, being like, oh, she wasn't family, she never was, and then it's just like, right, I know you're in pain, that's why you're saying all this. He was like, even going as far as going, go away, don't even be around me, you guys are a nuisance. You, Detective Quan, Siho, Duyan, Miss Lee, like, you've all been a nuisance. I'm exhausted, I'm tired of protecting you, I can barely protect myself, so how am I going to save all of you? I've just done it time and time again, just saying everything he can to push them away. And even going as far as telling Songan, you want to know what it is that he told me that shook me to my core? It was that 1,000 years ago, I asked him to turn me into Bulgasal. So I'm the reason why my family is dead. They're dead because of me. All the people in my life that get hurt time and time again, caught up in this cycle, is because of me. This all started with me. We worked together back then. So we still don't have full context for that, but it does clarify. It clarified a lot of stuff I wasn't sure about. One, like when he reached into Olte and pulled out that piece and left that hole and shit. It's like, right, he took out your soul, so he became human. That's why he ended up getting resurrected. So the question is that he was told, like, hey, find me and make me a Bulgasal. I'm like, why did it take him 400 years? Did it take him 400 years to find Hwal's reincarnation? And so, like, because I was like, did it take like 400 years for him to get spin back, out in the world? It's like, it can't be, considering all the times Hwal was tracking down Songan in previous lives and getting killed before he could get to her and whatnot. So now Songan's opinion of him is fully changed, being like, wait, you did this? Like, because she's carried so much guilt, believing everything that went down between her and Olte is what dragged, Hwal and his family. And now knowing like what the vision I saw, what I've been seeing of you, now I realize this all started there. That's who you were, but we still don't fully know what he was out for, who he was out for revenge against, like why he set this all in motion all those years ago. Because even then, Olte's been very particular about not bringing up those details, because he knows it might change Hwal. Because who Hwal is now, this is a man who, because your experiences are what shape you, and his experience of living the cursed life that he did, plus going through all that he went through, it changed him. Yes, he was still the same person looking out for revenge, just a different route to revenge, but despite those 600 years, look where him and Songan are now. I mean, to be fair, he now knows Olte was the one responsible, but still, things had changed. He kept making excuses not to kill her. Once again, there's contributing factors to all of that, but still, I think Hwal has changed because of his experiences. I mean, who knows how long he was a Bulgasal before he died and became human and, eventually got reincarnated as Hwal. But I think maybe starting off with that curse of the Bulgasal, being treated the way he did, all of it informed and played a role. I mean, because he wasn't the monster he was in maybe his previous life, because he had his adopted father teaching him and molding him into the man that he was as a human, first and foremost, so that when he became a Bulgasal, a lot of those elements stayed true. He didn't drink human blood. He didn't kill innocent people. He only killed monsters. So I think a lot of that shows that this Hwal, his experiences shaped him into a better person than who he was originally back when he was Bulgasal, obviously. He's a better person as a Bulgasal now than back then because of that experiences that he had during this reincarnation. So I think that's such a fascinating element and I guess dichotomy to the whole situation. So, and ultimately Siho, Duyan, and Songan leave, and they're like, right, is he actually going to meet up with us? And Songan's like, I'm not sure. He's not the man I thought he was. But then she thinks back to what he had said a couple episodes back about how he was alone in this world in the beginning, and you know, it's just kind of almost his fate, his destiny to end up alone. And I think that struck a chord with her, because it's like, right, she realizes like it's still a thing of your sad history. This thing is that this is, despite what your reasons are in the past, who you are now, all that you've been through, all the pain, all the loneliness, and now what am I doing? Even though it was what you told me to, and it's also because a little bit of my own fear, trying to protect everyone, I am leaving you alone, and you shouldn't be alone right now. Hawal did push everyone away. He was even telling Detective Kwan, hey, don't show up. Don't come here again. Then, and anytime Miss Lee stuff came up, he was just like, yeah, thank you, and just cut him off about the whole Miss Lee thing. Like, oh, we should go to a funeral. It's like, no, the police are already involved. They're going to be investigating. It's not wise to get mixed up in all that. But it's also because, right, he didn't want to confront it, because he has a lot of regrets when it comes to Miss Lee. And I like that this episode, even at the very end, made him have to confront it, because he came out and I was like, wait. I was like, at first I was like, is he dreaming? And it's like a lucid, almost vivid dream where he's seeing her cleaning out his fridge and she's got a smile on her face and it kind of disappears. And then we go through the different stages of her life, and then just the heartbreak of, I wasn't there for you. For him, he's like, you're the woman you were the shaman 600 years ago that caused so much pain for me. I wanted nothing to do with you, yet why? Why is it that you wanted to still live with me? And for him, it's just like these pivotal moments in her life where she was in so much pain and he wasn't there for her. He has so much regret. You know, because that was also something Duyun was talking about, how Hawal and her got into a fight. He was like, normally they would have like obviously made up, and then they would have normally had breakfast. If it wasn't for the police, maybe something would have changed, but now she's gone. He doesn't have an opportunity to apologize. This woman, she was there for him so much. You've always supported me, you've always thought of me as family, but he's like, I don't know why. I didn't deserve it. I kept you at a distance. I only kept you around in the beginning just for that you're useful to me. But it's also because I kept you at a distance because I had already lost my family. I didn't ever want to go through that again. And for him, it's just like, to the point, he was going to stab himself with the blade. It wouldn't have done anything. He wouldn't have died. But he's like, he's suffocating. He's like, my chest is so tight. He's in so much pain. He's like, my daughter died. I wasn't there for her. And like that whole conversation, and then Sangam being like, it's okay. I'll stay by your side. We'll protect everyone together, and I will protect you. I don't know why you became a Bulgasal, why you wanted to become a Bulgasal, but it doesn't really matter right now. I can't and I won't leave you alone right now. And despite all that Ulte has done to try and pull them apart, sadly, beautifully, they are still there. The Detective Kwan thing, well, I'll get to in a second. We'll see where that goes, but despite everything, despite what Ulte's trying to do, they're back. She won't leave his side, and despite her complicated feelings about everything and not really knowing who Hawal is, but she's like, right, I couldn't leave you alone after everything, knowing all the pain and loneliness you've been through, because all of us together is what makes this family. And if I leave you behind, that'd be like leaving behind a piece of this family, and I can't do that, especially because like Siho and Duyun care about you. You've already lost your family once. I'm gonna protect your family. I'm going to protect my family. We're going to protect everyone. And I'm going to protect you all, you know? And him not being, he's like, right, I can't die when I want to. I can't cry when I want to. And it's just like, right. That whole thing just, like I said, the waterworks, like the dam burst at that moment for me. Like I said, my eyes were watering for like 5 minutes. And then bam, that was the thing that sent me over there. I was like, oh, bawling like a baby, dude. I was like, dude, oh. I don't know why. There is a little catharticness to it. Because also, you know, without getting into it too much, I'm someone who doesn't like... I've also built up a thing of like, yeah, I don't like crying. Because I used to cry a lot when I was younger. And I'm the type of guy who buries a lot. So it is a little cathartic to have that like moment of just, letting it out, you know? So there is a beautifulness to it. It is therapeutic in a weird way, I guess. But like I said, along with all that, we also have everything with Detective Kwan. The fact, the moment Captain Ham called him out, I was like, you backstabbing bastard. Did Hawal's threat mean nothing to you? But I guess it's like, because you threatened my family, which is a sad byproduct of, he threatened your family. Like, if he hadn't, maybe Captain Ham would have been a little more receptive to helping him and not turn to Ulte, even though Ulte is this terrible monster himself. But it's like, he's a bigger monster that needs to be dealt with. Or maybe it's just like he was scared for his life. I don't know. Because I guess he doesn't know for sure that what Hawal is the same thing Olte is, whatever the case may be. So he ended up leading Quan into a trap, but it's like, right, I'm going to tell you the truth. Your father was a monster. And which one of us kills monsters? Yes, Hawal, looking for Sangan, even back then. Obviously, that was in her previous life. He ended up killing the monster, but once again, I guess his power, he was so caught up in the hunt, he ended up killing Quan's sister in the process. It was an accident, you know, it was not like he intentionally did it, but it's also like, right, he did nothing for you back then. You know why? Because Hawal, now, just like he was 1,000 years ago, he's only been concerned about his revenge. Everything has been a means to an end. He makes it seem like he cares about his revenge. It's like, no, it's always been about revenge. From the very beginning, it's been about revenge. Once again, what the revenge he's getting on 1,000 years ago, whether that's about who Sangan was back then, revenge against her. Once again, maybe it was like a love thing of like, right, you chose people over me, you betrayed me, my love, and that's what led to that slaughter. You know, maybe it's like Olte was kind of like the devil whispering on his shoulder, plus he had his darker inclinations as a Bulgasal. Once again, who he is now isn't who he was back then in many different ways, so. But now Quan is struggling with like, right, this man is the one who killed, this man that I fought beside, that I have begun to trust, is the same man who killed my sister. I don't think it was intentionally, but now it like leaves you a bunch of complex feelings. But now it's like, right, are you going to believe everything Olte says? Because for him, it's like, right, I want to destroy everything around Hawal so that he's all alone, so that everything is right again. So I think in the long run, in a twisted way, he's probably thinking like, when it's all said and done, when you're all alone again, you're going to come back to me because you'll have no choice. You'll have literally no one else, because no one else in your life will have anything to do with you. But despite everything, Sangan, because that's also the thing too, I don't think Sangan is the same person she was back then as well. She's not who she was in her previous life 50 years ago. Like, she's not that same person either. So I think a lot of that is kind of, a lot of them are not the same people. And also there's a whole prophecy that Miss Lee said that basically the evil that basically left that hole in your chest is going to come back again. So part of me is wondering, like, is it going to be a situation of, well, where is his soul right now? So is the soul that's inside of Sang-an is actually his soul? Because Hawal took Olte's soul, so you're going to take that soul and you made yourself human, and then eventually Sangan took that soul and became human. So the soul that he has isn't Hawal's, it's originally Olte, so I guess the point is to eventually give him his soul back and make him live with all that he's done and like let him die again, so that now he can be reincarnated as a better person. Because the whole point of this, I think the grand scheme of this story is to break the cycle. This cycle of vengeance and hatred, we have to break it. Because if not, we're always going to be constantly in it. Like, there will be no peace for anyone involved. Not Quan, not Duyan, not Siho, not Sangan, not Hawal, not Olte, not Miss Lee. No one will ever get peace. Even those outside of that, like, you know, the monsters, maybe like they'll stay dead at one point in time, or maybe when they do come back as a human, they stay as a human and lose all them, because their need to come after him, they're cursing him in that regard, is why they keep popping up. And now they've hurt people over the years. So, I don't know. I think the cycle has to be broken for everything to be peaceful, for everyone to be free. So we'll ultimately have to wait to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. First and foremost, to know what Detective Quan will immediately do. Because Olte's like, right, eventually he's going to join my side, telling Captain Ham, like, right, I don't plan on hurting him. It's like, do you owe him or something? He's like, he helped me out a lot when I was a rookie. Because despite his intentions, which he had the best of intentions even back then 600 years ago, he was just a massive dick about it because he didn't trust Wall. And now the same thing is happening, and now potentially, well, because also, let's not forget, there's also the complication, the stipulation that Detective Quan is also Olte's dad from 1,000 years ago, reincarnated too, so kind of brings Hawal and him even closer in that regard. So once again, a lot of interesting and complicated developments But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what Quan does, what everyone does going forward into the next episode. Only 2 episodes left. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. But really, that's all I want to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.